It was a ransom note unlike any other. The note was found early in the morning, and its contents were both perplexing and horrifying. The handwriting was erratic, the tone menacing, and the demands were shockingly specific. It was clear that whoever wrote it had a sinister plan in mind. 2.5 pages long. This was not a hastily scribbled message but a meticulously crafted document. The length alone was unusual, as most ransom notes are brief and to the point. This one, however, went into great detail, outlining the kidnapper's demands and the consequences of non-compliance. Written on a notepad from the Ramsey home, this detail was particularly chilling. It meant that the perpetrator had been inside the house, had access to the family's belongings, and had taken the time to write the note while inside. This wasn't a random act, it was premeditated and personal. The words, a bizarre mix of demands and threats, hinted at a sinister motive. The language used was both formal and threatening, creating a sense of dread and urgency. Phrases like, "We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction," and, "If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies," were designed to instill fear and compliance. But the most chilling aspect was yet to be revealed. As investigators delved deeper into the note, they realized that it contained clues that pointed to a much darker reality. The note wasn't just a demand for money, it was a window into the mind of a disturbed individual. This was no ordinary kidnapping. The level of detail and the psychological manipulation evident in the note suggested that the kidnapper had a deep understanding of the family's fears and vulnerabilities. This was a calculated move, designed to exert maximum control over the Ramseys. This time, the victim was a 6-year-old beauty queen, JonBenét Ramsey. Her young age and public persona added another layer of complexity to the case. JonBenét was not just any child, she was a well-known figure in the community, which made the crime even more shocking and high-profile. The note, discovered by Patsy Ramsey on that fateful December morning in 1996, sent shockwaves through the quiet town of Boulder, Colorado. The community, known for its tranquility and safety, was suddenly thrust into the national spotlight. The media descended upon the town, and the Ramsey family found themselves at the center of a media frenzy. It demanded a hefty sum of $118,000 for the safe return of her daughter. The specific amount raised eyebrows, as it was the exact amount of John Ramsey's recent bonus. This detail suggested that the kidnapper had intimate knowledge of the family's finances, adding another layer of mystery to the case. The instructions were clear, precise, and utterly terrifying. The note outlined a series of steps that the Ramseys were to follow, with dire consequences for any deviation. The level of control the kidnapper sought to exert was evident in every line of the note. The writer claimed to be watching. This added a sense of immediacy and danger to the situation. The Ramseys were made to feel that they were under constant surveillance, heightening their fear and anxiety. They threatened dire consequences if the Ramseys didn't follow every single instruction. The note was filled with threats of violence and retribution, making it clear that the kidnapper was willing to go to great lengths to achieve their goals. Little did anyone know, a tragedy beyond imagination was already unfolding behind the closed doors of the Ramsey family home. The discovery of JonBenét's body later that day would reveal the true horror of the situation, leaving a community and a nation in shock and mourning. The festive decorations still adorned the Ramsey household, a stark reminder of the holiday season that was supposed to be filled with joy and laughter. The twinkling lights and cheerful ornaments seemed almost mocking in the face of the grim reality that had settled within its walls. The contrast was jarring, a visual representation of the innocence that had been so brutally shattered. Inside, the atmosphere was anything but festive. The air was thick with tension and fear as the family and authorities grappled with the unthinkable. Hours after the ransom note was found, a frantic search for JonBenét ensued. The note had promised her safe return in exchange for a hefty sum, but hope quickly turned to despair. The police combed through every inch of the house, their faces growing more grim with each passing minute. The search was exhaustive, but it was in the basement that the most horrifying discovery was made. John Ramsey, the girl's father, descended into the dimly lit basement, his heart heavy with dread. As he turned a corner, his worst fears were realized. There, in the cold, dark basement, he found JonBenét's lifeless body. The sight was enough to shatter any semblance of normalcy the family had left. The little girl, dressed in one of her pageant costumes, had been brutally murdered. The discovery was a devastating blow, not just to the Ramsey family but to the entire community. JonBenét had been a bright, vivacious child full of life and promise. Her tragic end was incomprehensible. Evidence suggested she had been struck on the head and strangled, a brutal and senseless act of violence. The news of her death spread like wildfire, igniting a wave of grief and disbelief that washed over Boulder, and soon, the entire nation. How could this happen? Who would commit such a heinous act against a child, especially during the supposed season of joy? The questions were endless, and the answers were elusive. The community came together in mourning, holding candlelight vigils and memorials in JonBenét's honor. The sight of a young girl holding a candle at a vigil was a poignant reminder of the innocence lost. As the investigation continued, the media descended upon Boulder, turning the small town into a focal point of national attention. The case captivated the public, with every new piece of evidence and every twist in the investigation making headlines. The pressure on the authorities to find the perpetrator was immense. The story of JonBenét Ramsey became a symbol of lost innocence and the dark underbelly of society. It was a case that would haunt the nation for years to come, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the evil that can lurk in the most unexpected places. As the community of Boulder grappled with their grief, the rest of the nation watched in horror and sorrow. The question on everyone's mind was the same: how could this happen? And more importantly, who was responsible for this unimaginable crime? The search for answers would be long and arduous, but the memory of JonBenét Ramsey would never fade. Her story remains a poignant reminder of the innocence lost and the enduring quest for justice. As investigators delved into the baffling case, their attention quickly turned to the most obvious suspects: JonBenét's own family. John and Patsy Ramsey, along with their then 9-year-old son Burke, were thrust into the center of a media storm. Every aspect of their lives, every interaction, every word, was scrutinized under a microscope of suspicion. The public questioned their seemingly rehearsed demeanor during press conferences, their reluctance to speak openly with investigators, and inconsistencies in their accounts of the events leading up to JonBenét's disappearance. The pressure was immense, the accusations relentless, yet the Ramseys maintained their innocence, adamant that an intruder was responsible for their daughter's death. With no clear answers and a growing list of unanswered questions, theories about JonBenét's murder ran rampant. Was it a kidnapping gone tragically wrong, as the ransom note suggested, or was it a carefully staged crime scene meant to mislead investigators? The lack of forced entry fueled speculation about someone the family knew being involved. Some theories pointed to an intruder, possibly a pedophile who had stalked JonBenét at her beauty pageants. Others suggested a disgruntled acquaintance seeking revenge against the Ramseys. However, the most controversial theory implicated members of the Ramsey family themselves. Suspicions swirled around Patsy, suggesting she might have accidentally killed JonBenét in a fit of rage and then staged the scene with John to protect their family. Section 5. Media Frenzy. The Ramseys in the public eye. The JonBenét Ramsey case quickly escalated into a media spectacle unlike any other. From the moment the news broke, the media descended upon the quiet suburban neighborhood, turning it into a chaotic hub of activity. Reporters from every major network and newspaper were on the scene, eager to capture every detail and provide the latest updates to a captivated audience. The Ramseys' home, once a private sanctuary, became the epicenter of a media storm. Cameras camped outside the Ramseys' home, capturing their every move. The constant presence of the media was inescapable, with journalists and photographers vying for the best shot or the most exclusive interview. The Ramseys found themselves under an intense spotlight, their lives scrutinized and dissected by the public and the press alike. News programs dedicated countless hours to analyzing every detail of the case, often blurring the lines between factual reporting and sensationalism. Talk shows, special reports, and nightly news segments all focused on the latest developments, theories, and speculations. The media frenzy created an environment where rumors and unverified information could spread rapidly, further complicating the already complex investigation. JonBenét's cherubic face, often adorned with makeup and a sparkling smile from her pageant days, became tragically recognizable across the nation. Her image was plastered on the front pages of newspapers, featured in television broadcasts, and circulated widely on the internet. The public's fascination with her life and untimely death only fueled the media's relentless coverage. The public, captivated by the mystery and the constant stream of new information, became both judge and jury, forming their own opinions on the family's guilt or innocence. Conversations about the case could be heard in homes, workplaces, and public spaces, with everyone eager to share their theories and insights. The intense public interest created a pressure cooker atmosphere, where every new piece of information was dissected and debated. The relentless media attention only added to the pressure on investigators, who were already struggling to make sense of the conflicting evidence and lack of a clear suspect. The scrutiny from the press and the public meant that every move the investigators made was watched and critiqued. This intense environment made it even more challenging to conduct a thorough and unbiased investigation, as the need for answers clashed with the complexities of the case. The media's role in shaping public perception and influencing the investigation cannot be understated, as it became a key player in the unfolding drama of the JonBenét Ramsey case. Section 6. A grand jury's decision, no charges filed. After months of investigation and deliberation, a grand jury was assembled to determine whether there was enough evidence to indict anyone in the murder of JonBenét Ramsey. The world held its breath, waiting for a resolution to this perplexing case. However, the grand jury reached a controversial decision. They decided not to indict either John or Patsy Ramsey on any charges related to their daughter's death. The news sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving many feeling that justice had not been served. The Ramseys, though cleared of any legal wrongdoing, remained under a cloud of suspicion in the court of public opinion. Years after JonBenét's death, advancements in DNA technology offered a glimmer of hope in this seemingly unsolvable case. Investigators hoped that by retesting the evidence found at the crime scene, they could finally identify the perpetrator and bring them to justice. New DNA testing revealed the presence of an unknown male's DNA on JonBenét's clothing and under her fingernails. This discovery, while significant, only deepened the mystery. Who was this unknown male? Was he involved in JonBenét's murder, or was his DNA present at the crime scene for an entirely unrelated reason? The investigation continued, fueled by the possibility that this new evidence could finally crack the case wide open. Despite years of investigation, countless theories, and advancements in forensic technology, the JonBenét Ramsey case remains one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in American history. Questions linger, gnawing at the edges of our understanding. Who wrote the ransom note, and why? Was it a genuine attempt to extort money, or a carefully crafted diversion? What truly transpired in the Ramsey household that Christmas night? Was JonBenét's murder a premeditated act, or the result of a tragic accident? The lack of definitive answers continues to fuel speculation and debate, ensuring that JonBenét's story, and the search for justice, remains firmly etched in the public consciousness. The JonBenét Ramsey case stands as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of violence against children and the enduring power of unanswered questions. It serves as a cautionary tale about the often blurred lines between justice, media scrutiny, and public opinion. Despite the passage of time, the hope for justice for JonBenét remains. Perhaps one day new evidence will surface, a witness will come forward, or technological advancements will provide the missing piece of the puzzle. Until then, the mystery of JonBenét Ramsey's death continues to fascinate and frustrate, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring quest for truth. The JonBenét Ramsey case remains an enigma, a puzzle with missing pieces that continue to fascinate and frustrate. What do you believe happened that fateful night in Boulder? Share your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Oblivion Unlocked for more explorations into the world's most captivating unsolved mysteries.